As the adventurers had returned back to the kingdom of Taurus, as they return back, they discover that things aren't as what they had expected. As of course, they are really concerned. As of course, that Xander might, perhaps would have taken the water stone from the mountain of the Delta Dragon. As they arrive to the deserted areas of this land, they see that there are some strange serpentine creatures that are blazing orange plasmic radiation evaporating from its body. And Garrett immediately recognizes these creatures and that they look familiar. And he's like, wait a minute. These creatures, they look like the flame serpents that have previously tried to attack the kingdom from beforehand. These things look like they're adult versions of the flame serpents. And Drake says, you don't know what they're called? They're the salamanders. They are a species in which they are fire elementals. The salamanders are creatures. They're demons. They are delighted of setting things aflame. But strange enough is that these creatures are infiltrating Taurus itself, inside the kingdom. They do see the danger in which it is being caused. Oh, okay, pass. They do see what appears to be, of course, not just the salamanders are on the deserted grounds of the kingdom's exterior, but also they see the strange half human and half tiger, nearly as much as just medium size. Strange enough that even though this is a half tiger, this weird half tiger creature is pulling out a longbow, shooting it across the grounds, and shooting it in a faraway distance. Distance being, of course, nearly as much as 100 feet. And so that being said, the creature, it retreats to them, to the group. As it does, they do not recognize it at first. They think it's evil. But the creature speaks in a female voice. The half-tiger, I mean. Half-tiger speaks in a voice, saying, "Don't worry, for I am here to help you, adventurers. I wish to assist you." Of course, the characters, they are confused of her intentions. So they're like, you know what? All right. We're going to believe you. And, well, Garrett says this. He's like, come on, guys. We have to trust someone. We have to know the truth of what Xander's really up to. Of course, since that it is said that Xander has taken control of the first stone that he has wielded, fire. He's wielded Firestone as the sole source and means of conquest. And it would be more terrifying, if he has the Water Stone, that he will hold a weakness of the stone that he had previously had intended. But suddenly when Garrett says this to the group, the were-tiger says, No, don't worry. For I know for certain that Xander does not have the Water Stone yet. And Garrett's like, wait, how do you know? And then Drake and the others, they see that it's only fire in some way. And suspiciously enough that, of course, yes, there are water creatures, though not as many. There is only one in which specifically is what appears to be a very large formation of an embodiment of liquid, and by all means, that is the only one there is. The were-tiger says, of course, that even though this creature is trying to infiltrate our kingdom, the water elemental is not much of a threat. Therefore, Xander would have actually increased of the water elemental's numbers if he had the chance. But by any means, he doesn't have the stone. And of course, obviously, that being said, the group, they do see that the majority of the creatures that are trying to infiltrate the kingdom are the salamanders, the fire creatures. They are the only threat that is opposing the kingdom. And then, of course, the group, they see that there's these people that have pitchforks, torches, they have these mob equipment. Were-Tiger says we have to run now, and the group ultimately runs the opposite direction from the Kingdom of Taurus, as of course that this mob is trying to charge at them, specifically following the Were-Tiger. They hide, and as they do, as they, shoot. So yeah, that's basically there is. They hide away from the mob, and as they do, well, actually, never mind. We're just gonna say that they just hide. Like, I mean, the mob isn't really as much of an enemy so much. Were-Tiger transforms back into a humanoid form, suddenly revealing that the Were-Tiger is Ursula this entire time. Garrett is awfully surprised. He's like, "Whoa, Ursula, is that you?" She's like, yes, it's me. I should have told you before." And Garrett could understand that her appearance was an orange, whitish fur, marks in which, well, based on description, in some way is kind of similar to it's kind of similar to Tigress from Hunger Games. That type of detail, that description. She has somewhat a similar description. Of course, that being said, that she's more in a more queen fashion. But by the looks of her, she is, of course, she still wears the raggedy clothes of her royal gowns. Almost as if she had just been chased by this mob. Of course, Drake is concerned. He's like, "Queen Ursula, your majesty, what happened to you?" And Ursula, she says in a very scared voice, "It appears that I underestimated Xander. It's not just strength that he has. It appears that the salamanders have their intentions of specifically trying to frame me of my lycanthropy." And Garrett's like, "Your lycanthropy? What does this explain?" And she's like, "I have been hiding my lycanthropy behind everyone's back. I didn't want people to think that I had this effect inside of me, and that it's what I've been hiding for this entire time. And I just didn't want to tell anyone, especially anyone in which would see me as a monster. But of course, that being said, Xander has framed me as a monster, therefore creating a mob in which would attack me. Now, it appears that the salamanders have created trust with the Kingdom Taurus in means of trying to kill me and anyone who opposes them." Marita is especially scared of this, and even Nora as well. The girls are very traumatized of this type of action that Xander had inflicted to the kingdom itself voluntarily. And then Marita asked, "So you mentioned that Xander doesn't have the water stone. If he doesn't have the stone, then who does?" And Drake, he's terrified. He's like, "Oh no, there is only one person that'd be destined enough to take that stone. He might actually be aware of our presence. He knows that he has taken this stone." And Ursula's like, "Yeah, I know. Xander would know of this. But, like I said, I'm not certain that Xander has the stone." And Drake is like, well, maybe Xander doesn't have the stone, but he must have also befriended that of another of Annette's apprentice, one in which he had entrusted and told him of our location. And then Garrett Windstrike, he's terrified of this. He's like, "Wait, he knows exactly how far we are from here? How does he know that?" And Drake was like, "We can't underestimate Xander. He's not a normal humanoid. He's capable of things that we cannot imagine. We are still unsure as to what Xander is actually capable of. He knows the distance far from him and the people, for all it's worth, in which he's trying to avenge." And Drake also says that perhaps the one of closest person that he would entrust for the stone to be placed in hands is none other than the Knoll Pack Lord, which is Lord Ezzy, which I have mentioned before, and which wanted to wield the earth element. The group wanders into the forest in a means of trying to make that of a true system. As they do arrive into the forest, however, The truce will be a little bit more tough, as of course that going into the more swampy regions of Scorchwoods, they discover that there are a few other creations of the Mephits still lingering within the midst of their time. Um, some of these, of course, being mere combinations of water and earth. Perhaps many of you would be familiar as to what kind of Mephit would be combined of those two things. None other than the main characters, the group, seeing that, of course, the mud rising from its ground, Mephits made of nasty, slushious green mud. And, of course, due of its also combinations also, that the stones must have accidentally had leaked into this stuff. Also, not just creating mud Mephits, but also creatures in which are bound to the riverbanks of these swamps. Ursula's like, friends, get your weapons ready. We are in for a fight. Well, not a big one, for all it's worth. And then, Garrett's like, no, wait, we can't do this. Maybe we could just pass by, right? Right? Garrett was concerned. He was really concerned as to what's going to happen. Let's take a look. Oh, that's a -1. I didn't even see that. All right. Well, it's safe to assume none of them hit. Therefore, not a battle breaks through, which makes perfect sense. As the group travels more into the interior of the swamp biome itself, they do discover that the Null Pack Lord, Ezzy, he's there, and he is willing to make the trade barter. They're about to arrive, because Drake is like, I sense his presence, he is here. And then the group suddenly stops into their tracks, suddenly confronting the gigantic opening of a Stonehenge. Very huge, bound to be as much as a few, 10 feet high at least? I mean, they could jump, but I don't know. That is to be certain. In fact, I might as well check. Oh, 10 feet run, strength modifier, dexterity 10. And the 10 feet run is a 3 plus strength modifier. I don't even know. Okay, sorry everyone, this is really complicated to take in. So anyways, it's very curious because Drake is like, weird. I only sense that of many creatures, but I never knew that Ezzy would be just alone by himself, which is very confusing for some of the adventurers. They are very confused, really. The group decides to go in, but Marita is terrified. She's like, no, I don't trust this. This doesn't seem right. Marita was scared. Garrett tries to comfort her and ensure her that everything will be okay. Of course, the group decides to go as a team and decides that they should do so. Within the labyrinth, yes, it is a labyrinth. The group, they enter in through labyrinth. Takes them nearly as much as, I could say like a few hours, I don't know. But they do discover that there is a presence, something that's far worse than Ezzy. Something in some way more stronger, slightly, that lingers into the maze itself. And they are concerned as to what that is. Let me see. So let me roll the dice. See exactly what's going to happen. So Merfolk, okay. She succeeds. She succeeds. What about Garrett? Oh, absolutely fails. Ignore the noise, sorry everyone. They do sense that there are only that of two presents. One being with followed of heavy breathing and the clomping of hooves across the ground. Smelling and sniffing for creatures that it is desiring to kill. As for the other creature, is slightly weaker, but yet it was familiar. One of those of the creatures in which have giant, colorful wings, and with giant reindeer antlers protruding from its head. Of course, Nora and Ursula are the only two people to understand what these creatures are. The one with the heavy breathing, they discovered that it is a horned creature with a humanoid body. It's a minotaur. They both knew, and they told the group immediately. Right when the creature creates an ultimate charge attack, which will be a charge and then a gore attack on the same turn, target takes. Which makes perfect sense. Okay, a battle will inflict upon the group. And as it does, may this challenge begin. Creature definitely succeeds. Will attack Drake first. As of course that Drake has a similar horned, humanoid form. Faye, yes, but still same. Will perform a gore attack from 10 feet away. And, okay. Immediately, fails a strength saving throw. Will take the damage. So yeah, takes 6. Okay, so Drake, he takes 6 damage and is now prone. So I'll have to pull this out. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so Drake the Satyr is now prone from the charge attack of the Minotaur. And next up, that was the creature's turn, right? Yeah. So that's 18. Drake is next, but as someone that prone, 50% of max speed to stand. Well, he could stand up, but his speed will have from 40 feet to 20 feet. He stands up. So yeah, he does that. He weakly only has 20 feet, and as it does, Nora is trying to nurse him to his health. The group immediately runs away from the Minotaur. So that's Drake's turn. Next up is Nora. Nora, I just rolled a 14. Does that hit? Oh, wow, directly. She attacks. She performs a spear attack, which will be a 1d6 and a 1d8. Well, actually, no, sorry, 1d8. Let's do a 1d6. Natural. Alright, 1d6 of piercing damage. Minotaur takes 6 health. The group runs in many alternate directions. The maze isn't as complex, but in some way it kind of is. Especially with the difficulty of 2 creatures trying to attack them. So, next up is Ursula's turn. Fail. Ow! 13 plus 3, which will be a 16. Which hits. Will perform a cold breath attack. Unless, never mind. It is not resistant. Okay, that's 7. And then that's 9. You get 9 cold damage. So yeah. so that's Garrett's turn. Next up is Marita now. For a clear reference, I've already rolled for initiative, so bam. That is an 8. Plus 1 is 9, which does not hit. They do also see that above their heads, the group does see that there's, of course, the winged creature with antlers, the Perryton, is about to dive down and attack them. As this happens, the group tries to dodge from its attack. Of course, an 18 will hit someone. Will attack Ursula. And as it does, will simply do a gore attack. I think that means that it'll use its antler attack by ramming its antlers into her. So that's going to be a 1d8. That's 8 damage total. So it kind of drains her to 112. Clear reference, Ursula does have a lot of health. Her challenge rating is a 4. The group moves in means of trying to escape from the creatures. So it's safe to assume that they do not wish to engage in a fight, and that they have been through too much. Garrett, however, performs... Never mind, he does not perform anything. Let's just say that another 6 seconds, they try to escape. Another 6 seconds. Here, let's do that. That's going to be 12 seconds total. Oh, freak me. Minotaur rolls a natural 20, and as it does, will pull out a great axe from its belt. I dropped that by accident. Sorry, everyone. Anyways, Minotaur will pull out a great axe from a belt alongside of its waist. This will be 2d12 damage. Okay, I got lucky. I hope. That's 11 damage. The creature swipes at Nora. No, wait, no, not Nora. Sorry, Marita. So, what is that? 11 plus 4, which will be 15. So, yeah, 15 damage. So, boop, and boop. Marita is now at 23 health left. So yeah, oh, and also the bird automatically fails. Yep, fails immediately. The group does manage to arrive in the center of the maze. They do this in a matter of time. The Minotaur is blocked by a magical barrier, an aura. The Perryton is fended off by a dome-like ceiling aura above. Here they confront Lord Ezzy for the first time. He is there appears to be this glowing, a dark crimson-colored table that's creating an aura as if it is made of like a liquid blood, kind of like in that magical, fiery, hellish type. And with it, he is trying to move his fingers in a malicious fashion, trying to create these auras of orcs and ghasts, and of course the Minotaur in the labyrinth, and means of using his fingers like a puppeteer, trying to control puppets. He stops this, and the aura suddenly disappears the moment he walks away from the table. The aura disappears, and as it does, the crimson swirly colors of the table suddenly turn back to just a plain wooden made material. Lord Ezzy speaks in a nasty throat voice. Well, actually, that depends on what he doesn't speak any language. He speaks Knoll, but that's all there is to it. However, he does create an aura through his throat, one in which he could speak language to them. Depends on what they speak, so it does this. He says, "Dear travelers, for I have wandered in search for a stone that I had desired. I am assuming that you have it in your grasp. I may presume." Drake, he says in a kind voice, yes, we do. The Lord Ezzy looks at Drake in a very disgusted, distressful tone, as of course, after all this time, Ezzy was aware of Drake wielding the stone beforehand. Garrett Windstrike, he pulls the stone out of his knapsack and says, "Here, my dear friend, for I have it." Lord Ezzy is about to take the stone, but as he does, Garrett quickly pulls it away from grasp and said, "Wait, we have a deal. You have a stone yourself in your grasp yourself, do you not?" Ezzy says, yes, I have. And then he crawls in a very twitched formation, and as he does, he pulls out a glowing blue aura stone, kind of like the aura of the gaseous form of the air stone that the group has originally gotten beforehand. The one in which, of course, that the ice mephits had originally had pierced, which makes perfect sense. Lord Ezzy pulls out the water stone from the pedestal on the corner of his chamber in the middle of the maze. He pulls it out and holds it for all to see. "Well, a deal's a deal. You take the water stone, I take the earth stone." And Garrett is, of course, hesitant, but of course he sees that there is still fear left, specifically to two characters in the group, Nora and Merida, in which Nora is terrified of this deal in which it perhaps would backfire, if perhaps Ezzy would accidentally wield two stones, and perhaps might destroy the water stone for all it's worth. Merida, of course, is still scared as it is, because the adventure that she has been through has been pretty terrifying. And then, of course, Garrett and Ezzy make the deal and trade the stones gently. As the trade is finished, Garrett says, "Very well. Now with the deal over, me and my friends here will move on our way. Good day, sir." And then Lord Ezzy is kind of angered. He's like, "Wait! You cannot just go and leave!" And Garrett's like, "Why is that? We made the deal. We gave you what you wanted after all this time." And Lord Ezzy, he speaks in his gnarled hyena throat magic aura and says, "No, for, of course, that the elementals have certain sides, ones in which they created auras. It appears that my desire means of destroying the good half, air and water. You probably understand what I am trying to say." And Garrett is probably understanding, and as he does, he tells the group, "Run." And the group immediately runs back into the maze. But not until they suddenly accidentally they discover a strange acidic formation that forms through the ground, kind of squeezing and gelatinously squeezing through the cracks of beneath their feet. They immediately move from this liquid and discover that the liquid forms into a gelatinous cube. Lord Ezzy is by all means terrified, but yet is almost delighted and says, "Well, looks like Vanette has read my mind. Or so I seem." Of course, Garrett understands this, and Drake, he tells the group, we must run. These gelatinous cubes, they're not meant to doing this. These cubes were formed under the acidic breath of Vanette itself, in which, over many years, they have formed themselves into creatures and have created themselves and multiplied themselves in such great numbers. As he kind of laughs with a very hyena cackle, like, "Nah," and begins to run away. Garrett, however, fails. He fails too. Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. Let me see this. Really? Nope. Freak. Okay, that hits. Nora immediately pulls out her spear and begins to create a magical aura, one in which kind of multiplies a clone of it. And then she throws it with all of her power, making this 1d8 of piercing damage against an old pack lord. And this ultimately brings him down to the ground. So let me write this down. So he falls to the ground, and he's now at 47 health. And suddenly, the gelatinous cube accidentally consumes him, along with the Earthstone also in his grasp as well. Both Ezzy and the Earthstone are consumed in the acidic cube voluntarily. As of which, that the group also sees that floating in another gelatinous cube from the other side of the entrance of where they had come out from of the maze, this gelatinous cube holds the decayed, burnt remains of the Minotaur, floating inside of its interior. The group immediately runs away from the opposite direction. The creature's speed is, 15. That is terrifying. 15 is very slow, but let's just see what happens. The group tries to escape. Well, most of them do. Merida lifts Drake off of the ground. As for Garrett, Nora, and Ursula, they try and run away from the two gelatinous cubes, one consuming Lord Ezzy and the other consuming the Minotaur. However, as Ezzy is slowly consumed, it is confirmed that also the aura of the table with army pieces and all the little fidgety puppet things that he has controlled, and the aura in which had shielded creatures outside from this temple of the maze's interior, it suddenly and slowly fades from existence, giving our group an advantage of running through the outer areas of the maze itself. They do this, and they try running away. They do this, so yeah. Yeah. The Lattice Cube will perform... oh, freak. Oh, wow. Rolled a natural 20. Attempts of trying to... Let me see this. So, let me write this down. So, that's going to be 84 health. So... So let me see this. I'm trying to look at this. Okay, let me see this. Okay, sorry. Ursula is about to be engulfed by the giant ooziness creation that is moving. Ursula makes a dexterity saving throw. Immediately succeeds. She moves her tail out of the ooze the moment it almost touches it. As for the rest of the group, they manage to escape. And then they said to themselves... And then Garrett says to the group, "Friends, it appears that we might actually withstand against Xander, now that we have 2 elemental stones. As for the Earthstone, is, well, still in the maze." And then Merida says in a frightened voice, But what about the orcs and guests that he has controlled?" And Garrett's like, "We'll have to fear the worst. This can lead to an issue. Perhaps if Lord Ezzy is dead, they can be free. Therefore, our means of dealing with Xander is easier than we'd hoped, especially with the Earth Elemental in a gelatinous cube. Of course, Nora, being felt that she is lucky enough to be alive, she is ultimately... Yeah, she is terrified, yes. Nora is traumatized in her heart from what they had been through. She could have been consumed by the gelatinous cube, and therefore, she could have died. So, let me see this. So yeah, she could have gotten absorbed into a gelatinous cube if having the chance. But Drake, using all of his painful strength, manages to try and help her out. Drake trying to help her and trying to move her away from the area. The group, Ursula, she says, perhaps, maybe it could be safe to inflict a war in Taurus, for all it's worth. But then, of course, Nora, she says, after all these years, we do not need a war. Sonark is a land of peace. We cannot do this. And then Drake says, well, we have no choice. Xander is still hidden. We have to know where he is. And then, of course, the group discovers as to how they might find him. And Garrett thinks, well, if we want to find Xander, we'll have to dig deeper in the Scorchwoods. And that being said, we'll have to fear the worst of encountering even, perhaps if ever, that there are still fire creatures still out there. This scares the group. As of course that apart from the fire snakes and salamanders, that even probably apart from the meatfits, that there might still be others made of fire, ones in which can still burn the entire Sonark land as we know it.